Welcome to the Sera Labs Cost Performance Optimizer demo. This is the CPO's SAS deployment architecture. It illustrates how metric and flow data is captured by CPO from compute objects, such as VMs, residing in different public clouds. CPO analyzes the data and generates recommendations for optimally resizing the compute resources. Here are the steps of CPO. First, metrics associated with compute objects are retrieved. Second, the collected data is analyzed using ML techniques. Then the optimal resizing recommendations are generated. These are for different optimization goals, which are economical, balanced, and enhanced. Next, the recommendations are validated using simulation to verify their expected benefits. Then the resizing recommendations are applied to the computing resources. Finally, future need for re-optimization is continually anticipated. Now we're going to log into CPO, and as it successfully logs in, you get to the Manage VMs page. While it's refreshing the VM table, let's go to the place where we configure data sources. We're going to show you how you can add a new one, just a few fields to fill out. Subscription name, tenant ID, client ID, and client secret. And this is something you can test, and this is something the information icon can show you if you click on it. Here we see the various functionalities of the Manage VMs page. Refresh, which we saw, perform analysis, perform validation, manage resizing, view report, and reset state. Here's where all the subscriptions are listed, and this allows you to filter by the various states of the VMs. Currently we have everything checked, and what we're going to do is we're going to select all the VMs, and we are going to show you what perform analysis does. It essentially analyzes the historical data and projects into the future. So here's the perform analysis button pressed, seeks a confirmation, tells you it takes 10 to 30 minutes per VM. You say yes, and off it goes, and you see the VMs in pending and retrieving state. Here we can see further the details of each of the VMs in terms of their current configuration, sizing in particular. And this is something that is useful when you have a lot of VMs and you need to know which one is which. A bit later we see that all the VMs have been analyzed, and we click on view report to see what the recommendations say and what the benefits are. And as the report pops up, you see there are three different goals we can look at: economical, balanced, and enhanced. 42% savings with economical as expected, slightly less with balanced, and enhanced you spend a little bit to get what you need. And in terms of VM performance, economical, degraded performance, balanced, about even Steven, and with the enhanced you see superior performance. And if you look at specific VMs, this is Sera Live VM, you see what the consequences are of the different goals, savings on the economical side, and spending on the enhanced side, pretty much. And this is important because you can look at, for each VM, you can look at the different goals and see which one makes sense. Some VMs you want to save money, some you want to make sure performance is good. You can look at a specific VM's summary and further details, and So you do this by clicking on View Summary, and then what you end up seeing here is all the all the goals, the three goals: economical, balanced, and enhanced. And the icons for CPU, memory, and network, and the disks are color coded. The top line, the top color is the utilization. The bottom color is the performance as per analysis. So when it says $3 or it's red, it's you're spending too much. When the performance is red, it's abnormal. When it's green, it's good. So you get the analysis, then you get the recommendations, which are slightly different for the three goals as one would expect. There's a way to see the arrows and say that in some cases you're shrinking things, in other cases you're expanding. So this is a bit more detailed of the benefits and drawbacks. You see why you're saving or why you are spending, um, and they vary depending on which goal you're looking at. So one of the things that is important is to look at this in a bit more detail. So if you go to show details, you're now looking at a more detailed view of that VM, but you're only going to look at one goal at a time. So we can look at economical, enhanced, balanced, and back to economical here. So what you're seeing here is, of course, the cost is excessive because the utilization is poor in all three cases. So here is a much more detailed numerics of the spec, the limit, the thresholds, the utilizations, the health. And the main thing to note here is that the problem is in abnormal memory health, which if you are cutting costs, you may not completely mind. So the recommendation is to pretty much keep everything the same, actually make the disks cheaper by going to inferior technology. P10 to S10 saves you money, and that's why you are saving $13.82 per month. And when you look at it, it tells you where the gains are in cost. It's in the choice of the OS disk, and that is what you get with the optimization summary. The next step, which is an important but an optional step, is to validate the three VMs. And what we do mean by validate is to actually simulate how the resize VMs will do and see if the benefits we stated as expected are actually observed. So, we're choosing different goals for different VMs. I mean, this really depends on what you're trying to do with each VM. So, enhanced for Live VM, balanced for WinVIP, and for VM in progress, economical. And then you click proceed. The simulation runs for approximately an hour. There's pre and post simulation activities, so it can take anywhere from 75 to 90 minutes per VM, although they can run concurrently. So what you're seeing here is the three VMs are being validated. The simulation is going on, and after a while the simulation gets done. We can look at the report, and what we see in the report is that for the validated VMs, given our choices of goals, we have a nice 27% cost savings. In terms of performance gain, we haven't really suffered any performance loss, and that reflects the choices we made, which is we tried to save money with Live VM, and some money with WinVIP. So performance was not a top criteria in the choices we made. Once you click on the validated VM, you get the summary view, which tells you that it was validated for um, the economical case, and that it actually said there would not be any loss in performance, even though what was expected was worse in performance. So that's important. So you can look at the whole picture from analysis recommendations, expected benefits, um, down to recommendation. Detail of a validation is given, and what you're seeing is that in the case of economical, it is we are getting good utilization, and really due to two less expensive disks, um, we are doing well. The performance hasn't really suffered, and this is also shown here, which is a slightly different perspective: existing, recommended, what the expected effects were, what the observed effects are, and you can see that it's pretty much uh, been quite close, and that is why the performance hasn't been hampered, even though you have been able to save money. Now, this is something you wouldn't have seen if you just didn't do the validation. You would have expected worse in performance. So simulation is very useful because it can tell you what will really happen. Of course, it's a 1 hour run, so it is a much better way of assessing the effects uh, than just leaving it as expected benefits on paper. Again, we're going back um, to the report and showing you the choices we made, and you can click on any of them and get into details. So we are seeing the VMs have been validated, and we are going to now try to resize at least one of them, and we'll go through the process. The resizing is currently uh, user supported. What we're showing is what the originals are, what the recommendeds are, what the cost benefits are, and so on, and what the performance changes are for the ones which have been validated. Uh, and so once we see that, we say, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the ones which are validated. You don't have to. And you proceed and you initiate the managed resizing process, and they all go into a state which is optimizing. So you can look at what that means. In the case of this particular VM, what you're seeing is that the recommendations for CPU memory and network are already in place, so there's nothing you have to do. It's already optimized, and you can go to another VM. In this case, we can go to this one, WinVIP, and that has the balance objective. And if you look at it, you see it's, except for the last two disks, it's pending. You look at the details. The last two disks are in place. What you have to do is change P10 to S10 and B1S to B1MS, which is a slightly more memory based B series Azure. So we're not going to actually change those right now. What we're going to show is a way in which you can say, I'm okay with what it is. So even though we recommend that you optimize it, you can optimize some things and custom size others. And the way we do that is by opening this up, examining it, and saying, you know what, I'm okay with B1S, and I'm okay with P10 disk. So I'm going to say resizing completed, right? So you're declaring it complete, and you say yes to this, and you see the state. It's not optimized, it's custom sized. Now, if you had done exactly what was recommended and validated, it would have shown as optimized. So here you're seeing the details, the two things we chose to stay with what we had, therefore custom sized, and the rest were optimized. So you know what we have seen is the entire process from analysis to validation to resizing and viewing reports in the meantime. This concludes the CPO demo. Thank you.